Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. And up next, we're going to begin our series called 23 and Beyond. Do me a quick favor, hit like. If it is your first time checking out the GM, hit subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's talk about it. So, what is 23 and Beyond? Well, 23 and Beyond is going to be a series where we take a walk around the NFL, division by division, team by team, and talk about where they are currently, the now, and what their future looks like. And so, with no further delay, man, let's just jump right into it. We're going to talk about the AFC North. Let's start at the bottom. Let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Where are the Cincinnati Bengals right now? Well, as it pertains to 2023, I believe their season is all but over. Not that they don't have more games to play, of course, but I think that any hopes of getting into the playoffs and making a deep run, I think that subsided with the Joe Burrow injury, which is something that's kind of becoming a routine thing with Joe Burrow. I'm not saying he's injury prone. Some injuries are not a part of being injury prone. Some injuries are just fluky and freakish. And, we know that Joe Burrow had the ACL tear as a rookie. Here we are with a ligament issue in his wrist that requires surgery. And so I think that as of right now, the Bengals are getting ready mentally and emotionally to end this season. Of course, they're going to try to end it strong, but they're getting ready to end this season, hopefully on a positive note for them, and they're going to prepare for the draft. They're going to prepare to see what guys they can bring in to make their team better. What does their future look like? Well, I think their future has a big question mark, kind of cloudy a little bit, because just like last offseason, they lost both of their starting safeties. I think this offseason, they have the potential to lose one of the big three, meaning Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. And I think that they're not going to be able to resign Higgins. I think Higgins has the potential, when healthy, to be a number one type wideout. And I think he will have a lot of suitors, especially for wide receiver needy teams. And so I think that they won't be able to match the money that other teams can offer him unless they franchise tag him. I don't see that happening. They're also going to have questions about what to do with Joe Mixon. Do they keep him? Do they reduce his contract again, or do they let him walk? In a wave. And so I think that the Cincinnati Bengals, man, have more questions right now than answers. And I think that's to come with the territory, especially being in the midst of a season, but having a lot of doubt about what their future holds, especially with a quarterback with a wrist injury. Because when you deal with issues, you don't know how that ligament responds long term to surgery. And so I think that the Cincinnati Bengals are in need of a big time draft. They're going to be in need of a big time free agency because they still have offensive line issues, and they're going to have a hole at wide receiver, and they're going to need some defense upgrades. So I think they have more questions than answers. And so I think as it pertains to deep playoff runs and a Super Bowl contention, I think that um, their window has closed for right now. Okay, let's jump to the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are much like the Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns, of course, took a big time swing to go get a controversial Deshaun Watson because of some off field injuries. I mean, excuse me, some off field issues. They gave him the richest contract in NFL history as far as a fully guaranteed deal, and it just has not panned out. Deshaun Watson is a quarterback who has Pro Bowl potential, or had capital HAD, had Pro Bowl potential. And we haven't seen that kind of play in a long time, almost 4 years since we really seen um, Deshaun Watson be like that at the quarterback position. And so now he's got another injury, which has been, consistent this year, and he's out for the season. So what do the Cleveland Browns look like in the immediate? Well, I think in the immediate, the Cleveland Browns are possibly a fringe playoff team. I think their defense is great enough to kind of keep them in games. I think their quarterback situation is a big time question mark, but I think if they can run the ball and make timely throws, they could hold off some of the teams who are making a push to get into the playoffs. So I think for right now, the Cleveland Browns are a fringe playoff team. Do I think they make a deep run? No, but they're not going to be a team wants to face in that first round, especially with this kind of defense that they're going to put on the field. What does it look like in the future for the Cleveland Browns? I think the Cleveland Browns' future is much like the Bengals' future. I think it's a big time question marks. I think it's kind of cloudy. Um, Although they have their guy at quarterback, but who is that guy at quarterback? I think that's more of the question. What is he going to be? Is he going to be this injury prone guy that they've seen in 2023? Is he going to get back to being healthy and playing at a Pro Bowl level? I don't think they know. I don't know. And I don't really have a suggestion. But I think not only is Deshaun Watson a question, but what are they going to do long term with Amari Cooper, right? If they need another number one, do they go out into the draft? Do they make a trade? Or do they just sign somebody in free agency? What are they going to do, at that position? What are they going to do at running back? What do they do with an injured Nick Chubb who's had two catastrophic knee injuries in his career? You know, do they let Ford continue to make progress and take his place? Do they put Nick Chubb back in his rightful spot as a starter when he comes back? Who knows? Big time question. What did they do with Njoku? Right, a really good tight end. What do they do on the defense side of the ball? Right. Um, I'm not sure what Miles Garrett contract situation is. I think he's already got his money. I'm not 100% sure. But if he hasn't, what do they do there? What do they do with Grant Dilbert? What do they do with Denzel Ward? Do they trade these? Do they trade a couple of these pieces to get some draft picks to build a team around some of the other expensive players? I don't think they know, and I don't think they can know right now. So for the Cleveland Browns, I think they're right now, right? Their more immediate is brighter than their long term future simply because they're in the middle of a season with a big time defense who can get them into the playoffs, which is really what they can hope for right now. But I think they have more questions than answers as they enter into an off season. Especially with some of the big time players they have on that roster. Let's jump to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers kind of sit right there at the top of the AFC North with the Baltimore Ravens, simply because we have not had a bye week where the Pittsburgh Steelers already have had a bye week. So things will level out after week 13 in this division race and in the AFC. But I think Pittsburgh's immediate future is, if you thought about like a weather forecast, I think it's kind of overcast, right? Kind of partly sunny, partly cloudy. I think that Pittsburgh still has more questions than answers at the quarterback position. I think that they have good skill position. I think that Warren, I think that's his name, the running back who's kind of taken over for Najee Harris. I think that he's shown some real skill and talent at the running back position. Of course, George Pickens is a wide receiver who's super talented. Then you got Johnson, who is a wide receiver who has a lot of talent. You got Fairmouth at the tight end position. So I think skill wise, they are in a bright spot. I think their biggest question is at the quarterback position. Is Kenny Pickett to guy? Excuse me, is Kenny Pickett the guy, or is there another guy to come? I think their offensive line is going to improve as some of the young guys they brought in and put in place as they get more and more experience. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is still a good unit. They have one of the best safeties in Nika Fitzpatrick. At the safety position, they have one of the top edge rushers in the league in Watt. Uh, they have good interior guys who get push, and they have a really good young corner rookie in Joey Porter Jr. So I think the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers is bright. I think so. When you look from now into the future, I think it's a pretty solid horizon for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a lot of lot of young talent. They don't have a tremendous amount of big time debt or bad contracts. A lot of their good players are on friendly deals. Kenny Pickett, whether he's long term answer or not, he's on a rookie contract, right? Um, Johnson, I'm not sure of his contract, but because their quarterback is not expensive, then even if he has a big time deal, it's not going to be that bad for them. Pickens is on a rookie deal with 2 more years left. Joey Porter Jr. is a rookie. Nika Fitzpatrick is on a solid deal for a safety, and then T.J. Watt has a big time deal, but everything else is pretty distributed pretty evenly. So I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, um, have a pretty good landscape into the future. I think that they will definitely battle, and I think they'll get into the playoffs because they bring a solid defense, and they play opportunistic football. So I think that Pittsburgh is in a good spot now and into the immediate future. All right. Now let's jump to the team we all want to know about. That's the Baltimore Ravens. As I've been, associated with the Baltimore Ravens for their existence, basically their entire existence, 1996 to now, I think the Baltimore Ravens are in kind of a 50-50 type situation. What do I mean by that? Well, I think immediate, right? Immediate, I think the sun's out for them. I think they have a good shot to win the AFC North, and I think they have a good shot to get one of the top 2 or 3 seeds in the overall AFC seeding as far as the playoffs go. I think that their bye week came at a great time where they have an opportunity to get healthy along the line in the backfield, wide receivers, defense. I think they have an opportunity to get healthy. And I think that they have a tough schedule, but a schedule that they can come out fairly victorious, 3-2, 4-1, something like that down the stretch, which lands them in a 12-5, 13-4 kind of position. So I think they're in a good spot for their immediate future. I think the offense has to continue to build and create more of a flow. I think that I would love to see Todd Monken make some more immediate tweaks to their offense and kind of get a faster pace going, so that they don't have these consistent lulls throughout the game. Offensively, I think the defense is in a good spot. They've been solid all year long, good to great all year long, and that's even without some of their stalwarts. And so I think that immediate to the end of the season, they're in a good spot. But futuristic, I think that there is some clouds ahead. I think that the Baltimore Ravens have a lot of their major contributors in limbo. When you look at this team, let's go offensively. You have a question mark with what's going to happen with Odell Beckham. You have a question mark with what's going to happen with Rashad Bateman. You have a question mark with what's going to happen with Devin Duvernay. You have a question with Gus Edwards. You have a question with Keaton Mitchell. I think he's a guy you want to go ahead and lock up now, as he has shown a lot of ability, a lot of skill, versus letting him get into free agency. So there's a lot of guys, offensively that they have question marks about. Um, I think they do have some young depth. Both Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kolar are young depth pieces at the tight end position. And then of course Zay Flowers is a flat out stud offensively. So I think they have some good pieces, some good to great pieces offensively. But I think they have a lot of questions. What are they going to do along that offensive line in this offseason? Are they going to upgrade the left guard position? John Simpson I can't remember if Kevin Zeitler is under contract. Did they extend him or not? And then Morgan Moses, what are they going to do with him? You know, are they going to upgrade him? So I think they have a lot of questions offensively, which is what creates the cloud. And I'll talk about why the cloud exists here when I get done with the defense. On the defensive side of the ball, when you look at what they have in stock and they're good players, you have to consider that Justin Metabuke is a free agent, right? And unless they sign him by the time I'm recording this video, he'll be a free agent, when this season's up, right? Big time player. When you look at the outside linebacker position, you got Jadeveon Clowney, who has probably been their best consistent pass rusher, free agent. You got Kyle Van Noy, late season sign or in season signing rather. He's been really good for them, free agent. And to be honest, at the outside linebacker position, you don't have a real solid guy that you're banking on to replace these guys, Clowney and or Van Noy. So you have a lot of questions at the interior linebacker position, right? They drafted Trenton Simpson, but you haven't seen him. So, big time question: are they going to be able to keep Patrick Queen? Will they franchise tag him? Will they extend him, or will they let him walk for a compensatory pick? You see, because if Patrick Queen leaves, then that middle linebacker grouping, which is the best in the league, now becomes more of a question. Roquan is great, but he's not great by himself, meaning he is great as an individual, but they've been great together, is what I'm saying. When you jump to the secondary, um, you got Marcus Williams contract, who you can't really move right now, if you even if you wanted to. So therefore, that makes Geno Stone more or less, gone. Going to another team in the off season. Um, Ronald Darby has been filling in for Marlon Humphrey, but Marlon Humphrey is getting a little bit long in the tooth. He's had some injuries the last couple of seasons. And so, what are they going to do to kind of build that cornerback position? What are they going to do on the other side? Are they going to offer Brandon Stevens a contract? So there's a lot of questions. Or is JAD going to step up and show himself worthy of replacing Brandon Stevens at some point? So that's what I mean by the cloud. There's a lot of questions about our big time players. And so, if we can't sign more than half of these guys back, right, this team looks way different in 2020 and four. Um, and and so we're going to be leaning on the draft to be a good team next year. The cloud exists because we have a lot of money tied up in about four contracts that haven't been super productive or effective over the last couple of seasons. Ronnie Stanley has a big time contract that they kicked down the road, meaning they restructured the money and kept kicking it down the road. And now they can't really move anything with Ronnie Stanley. They have to really wait to 2024 is over, and they'll be able to save $20 million in 2025 if they move off of his contract. So they're kind of stuck with an injury prone Ronnie Stanley. When you look at another contract that's pretty costly, Marcus Williams has been hurt since he's been here. And he's playing kind of with one arm now, big time contract. And based on his dead cap hit next year, they can't move his contract. So um, so he's going to be on this roster. Marlon Humphrey, he hasn't been elite to be $100 million quarterback, excuse me, cornerback, and but they can't move his money because they restructured him a couple of different times, and so his dead cap hit is going to be too big. And then the last contract is Mark Andrews' contract, which is pretty significant. Now, Mark Andrews has been productive when he's been healthy, but as of the last couple of seasons, he's been just as injured as he has been healthy. So his contract isn't looking as good as it did when it first was signed. And so those are the contracts that's kind of taking a big time toll on this roster, which is kind of standing in the way of being able to resign, the Metabuques, the Queen, the Brandon Stevens. I don't know if he's a free agent or not, but Brandon Stevens, Geno Stone. See, these guys who have been integral in our success this year. So that's why I say immediate is the sun's out, but into the future, starting with this off season, it's kind of cloudy. So um, the summation for this division is um, as far as a Super Bowl window being open. I think Cleveland tried to force open their window with the Deshaun Watson signing, and it just never has opened. I think that the Bengals Super Bowl window was open because they did the progression right. They got to the playoffs, made some noise. They went to the Super Bowl, and then they took a step back. But now, took a step back last year, but now they didn't make the next natural step in the progression. And so now Joe Burrow's money is going to go on the books, and he's hurt. And so I think their Super Bowl window is more closed at this point. The Pittsburgh Steelers haven't had a Super Bowl window open in some time since the late 2019s, 2018, somewhere in there when they still had Ben Roethlisberger. But I don't think it's open with Kenny Pickett at their quarterback. So I don't think their window is open either. And if I'm honest, The Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl window has not been opened yet. Yes, I know we had great success with Lamar Jackson, MVP, 14-2, all that kind of stuff in 2019, but that Super Bowl window was never really opened simply because Lamar Jackson did not have the weapons to really have great playoff success. We took the next practical step in the next year, 2020, got our first playoff victory, and then kind of fell off pretty significantly the last couple of years just simply because of injury. And so I think that they have the potential to compete deep into the playoffs this year. And I don't know if the Super Bowl window is open. It's going to depend on what we look like and who we look like when we get to the playoffs this year. So that's my takes, man, on the AFC North. And the only team I think that has a real shot at competing this year is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. Not because it's my team, just because when you look at all of the situations, which for every team in the AFC North, Baltimore is in the best situation roster wise and in their more immediate situation. So I'm your guy Boulanger. Let me know what you want me to know. Cleveland fans, Bengals fans, Steelers fans, stand up in the comment section. Let me know, man, if you guys think I missed something. I'm out.